Okay, y'all ready? And action.
One of the reason why we here, because God inspired and touched my heart to touch other people's lives. You got people out here on the street. A lot of people not thinking about these people, these God children. So basically, one of the things I'm doing is that I'm just doing the Lord work because God touched my life. He inspired me and brought me out of some hard times. My name is Bernardo Cortez Lane, formerly known as Nardo. I served a life sentence and 50 years running wild. Well, that was running concurrent. I had 4 years running wild for stabbing a man while I was incarcerated. One of the things that led me to the Lord is God gave me a revelation one night and told me if I stopped being so vindictive, that He'll rise me out of the pit of hell. Growing up, I was raised in Memphis, Tennessee. Then we transited off to Lansing, Michigan. While in Lansing, Michigan, I witnessed a lot of abuse. Man's beating on my moms. We dealing with the hard streets of Lansing, Michigan, up through Detroit, Grand Rapids, and Flint. Me and my sister, my mom's back, always been against the wall. From that time on, I started witnessing my mom use crack cocaine, and things changed from that point in time. Once my mom started using crack cocaine, we returned back to Memphis, Tennessee. Once we hit the hard streets of Memphis, Tennessee, we was raised by my grandmother, who was raising 13 other children. And it was some hard times. My uncle and them, a lot of them was pimps, hustlers, landscape workers. My aunties, a lot of them was check writers, hard workers, and my grandma was always a Christian woman. Man, I used to hate waking up early in the morning, go get on that hot van. But I didn't know what my grandmother was preparing us for. I didn't know she was preparing us for a spiritual warfare that was up ahead. I remember times we going to church and we sitting on them hot benches, and me and my cousin, we sit back, we be nitpicking and playing and messing with the other church members. I remember my grandma looking back at us, waving that finger, I'm gonna get y'all at the end of that church. But it was just something so powerful how black folks, just praise the Lord. And people congregated. It was like in the streets, it was so much genocide and self-hatred amongst the black community. But it's just was something so particularly special about that Sunday, where people just congregated and ate meals and it found all type of ways to get along with each other. And we were unified with other family members and stuff like that, listening to the people sing the gospel. But as time progressed I started wanting a relationship with my biological father, because I really never had now, because the times I remember him being in me and my mom's and my sister's life, he was extremely abusive. He was an alcoholic. He would cuss, he would abuse us, he would say a lot of things to us, and I think it traumatized my mom's in a whole lot of ways, where she became immune to man's beating on her. So at this point in time, I tried to seek a relationship with my father, because as a teenager, I was feeling lost in the streets and stuff. And about at the age of 14, I lost my father after visiting him numerous of times at the veteran hospital. It's funny how things work, because I was at a school, and all the things that I had done wrong, I somewhat got away with it. And it's this particular day, something I didn't do wrong, I ended up getting a board suspension. So I was put into a special school, and to come to find out that special school's right down the street where my father was dying in a veteran hospital. So every day after school, I would just get off at the bus stop and go see my father. We would talk and just talk about a whole lot of things. I knew he was dying from cirrhosis to the liver, and I lost my father. One day, I was looking forward to going to see him, and my auntie and uncle pulled up on me and told me my father had just passed. Man, that was devastating, because when you're a young male, especially a young black male, you look for that father figure, and you want to have that father figure around. And just having a man in your life, it really changes a lot of things about your mindset and how you just facing and deal with life. And when I lost him, my mom's, when she was on crack cocaine, I eventually started turning to the street, rebelling against my grandmother, rebelling against everything that she told me, how Jesus loved me. I somewhat lost hope because I see the kids in the middle class neighborhood. They had all nice clothes, and me and my sister basically had to go up in the attic house, dig out old clothes and stuff like that, and get hand-me-downs and wait for a check every month just to get proper clothes. So, man, that was kind of hard to deal with. So I started hanging out in the projects where I started hanging out with guys who was real criminals and real gangsters. And for long, if you hang around wolves, you begin to howl like a wolf. If you hang with eagles, you sure like an eagle. And I was hanging with wolves, and I started committing crimes, violent crime, shooting people, robbing people, selling drugs, doing all type of things. And it was December of 1993 where I took a man's life in the midst of a robbery. Did I have to do it? Of course not. But when you doing things in the streets and living a sinful life and being around a certain crowd of people, you start perpetuating that same mentality. And this is exactly what I did. At the age of 17, I was charged with first-degree murder along with many other charges. So I was bound over from the juvenile court into the adult system. Being in the adult system, man, it was kind of like a real scary approach, because now I was dealing with guys who was a little more advanced than just being wolves. These was real lions and gorillas, and I had to make a decision: either become predator or become prey. And the thing that I took into that jailhouse was my Bible. That's the first thing I took into that jailhouse, and I read that Bible and I asked God to see me through. And I felt all type of evil coming towards my way. And God told me, for everything that you done wrong, these the same demons you're gonna have to face. And I remember my grandma telling me that the Lord wasn't gonna let me out of prison until I changed my heart. And I remember my aunt, my uncle, my sister, my cousin, them catching different kind of charges during the time that I was arrested. And my family made all their bonds. And for some particular reason, they wouldn't make my bond. So I called and asked my grandmama, I was like, why you haven't made my bond yet? You know, I'm still down here amongst all these dudes and stuff. These guys raping guys, killing guys. And my grandmama told me, she said God had showed her a vision. If I had got out, that there was sirens and police sirens, and that I was going to do some more horrific things. And that's how I knew my grandma was spiritually inclined, because I had so much rage and anger and frustration in my heart. My mind was made up that I was going to commit a whole lot of more crimes than what I had actually committed. They had said that I was a murderer. I was going to show them what a real murderer was, and that was what's on my mind. And I think that the Lord knew that. So my grandma told me she wasn't going to make my bond. I was very disrespectful and angry about it. I never talked to my grandma in such a disrespectful way, but I did it that time. And my grandma told me, she said, son, she said, it's going to be all right. She said, you're going to have to face my heart. I say one of the reasons I'm crying on camera, because I ain't ashamed to shed tears. Because if people only knew the things that God brought me through, they'll understand the reason I'm shedding tears. It ain't from a place of sadness. It ain't from a place of anger. It's from a place of gratefulness that, you know, God, He put some tremendous people in my life, some real prayer warriors. And it hadn't been from God putting the spirit in my grandma's to deliver that revelation to me, that prison system would have swallowed me up, because I went down some dark path, and I hurted a lot of people, and I enjoyed it the time that I was doing it, and that was the sickness part about it. And I prayed a lot of night fighting them demons, but it's a lot of days that I celebrated with the devil, rejoicing over things that I done that I knew that was wrong. After a while being incarcerated, I became a gang member of one of the most dangerous organizations and gangs that's in America. I became a gangster disciple, and one of the ways that I rose to the top of regaining my respect was perpetuating violence, and I did it well. And I did it to the point where I would do it against some of my own members. I didn't care. I felt like I had a hole in my heart, and I wanted everybody to feel the same pain that I felt, and I made sure that they felt that pain. During the time of me being incarcerated, I started studying a lot, sharpening my mind. I remember running across this guy that was on death row that had killed 4 men, and I asked him, I said, man, how do you deal with your time knowing that you never gonna get out of prison? And he told me, he said, preserve your soul and read. And them the things that I chose to do. And as I rose up, I became one of the sharpest youngest members, one of the dangerous youngest members, and I was very vindictive. You can look at me wrong, and I already have a plotting scheme. It was like spirits were telling me how to already get you at the end of the day. And during that time of being incarcerated, man, that was one of the most horrific experiences that I experienced, because it suppresses demons and it makes demons inside you, and it busts pipe, and it also makes diamonds. So you have to choose which side is gonna make that you gonna be. And I chose to be a diamond, and you know, I let it bust a lot of pipes to the point where I was given an add-on for solicitation of first-degree murder, trying to have one of my co-defendants murdered, because I didn't want him to be a witness against me in trial. Another add-on for aggravated assault, stabbing the man up. Through all these things that I was doing, I didn't feel good about myself, and I just wanted to find out why I don't feel good about myself. What's going on? Was it from the abuse that I seen my mom went through? Was it because I didn't grow up really with solid parents? Was it because I lost my father? Was it because things just wasn't just normal for me? What was the problem? And as I began to pray to God, God gave me a revelation one night. He said, if you stop seeking revenge on people that wrong you, I destroy and I will chastise everybody that coming your way. And when you do something for so long, it becoming rooted in you that you don't want to let that power go. And at that time, I didn't want to let that power go, because I was in control. I was in control of the point that if you done something wrong towards me, I can get something done to you. I was in control of making other people suffer instead of them making me suffer. But it came down to a point now that I had to give control and authority to a higher power, and it was kind of hard for me to do. I kept on with my same ways, and eventually I went to trial in 1998, was found guilty, and was given a life sentence put in the paper. Everybody counted me out. I even counted myself out. Given life with 50 years plus 4 years running consecutive. I ask myself, I say now, man, I don't finna start on this time right here, man. I got all this gang member stuff in my jacket. I made all the enemies, so I know 85% of the prison system want to kill me when I get to the penitentiary. I ain't really got no really strong support. Man, it's pretty much over for me. So this is gonna be my lifestyle. So a lot of guys started spreading rumors like when I got to prison that I was stabbed up because so much stuff that I had done. I guess they predicted it would happen. God protected me when I got to prison. Didn't allow nothing to happen to me. I prayed before I even went into the penitentiary, the penal system. I prayed, and you know how we are. Once we get comfortable, we go back to what we know best. And when I felt that safety zone, I went back to what I knew best: hustling, selling drugs, doing wrong, still perpetuating violence, being very manipulative, and very loyal to the soldiers that I consolidated with, and we would do all type of things to survive. A lot of us grew up in the system as kids and stuff like that. And I remember God coming to me one night and I said, man, I'm a dad here. Ain't no use to me keep on trying. You done gave up on me. And I heard God say, I'm gonna see you all the way through, but you gotta let go of your old ways. And I asked God, I say, God, it's hard for me to let go what I know best. This is what how I know to survive. People not gonna accept no love that's come from me because they not gonna believe it. Because what I showed them, he say, it's not what people think, it's what I feel and what I think. And it was one night, it was a strong revelation that came over me. And I told God, I said, God, you release me out of this system, put some good people into my life. I say, you release me out of this system and you help me out of this situation. I say, I'm gonna serve you. I don't know how I'm gonna do it because it's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna make mockery and they gonna take me serious. And I say, it's gonna be a lot of attacks on me because the type of lifestyle I live, a lot of guys not gonna be accepting of that transition that I'm about to make. And I said, but if you see me out of this place, I'm gonna do some wonderful things out here in this free world if you just release me. Man, it's just amazing when you put trust into God and you just lean on his shoulder, man. He'll carry you through some hard times. He'll walk you through a river of lava, an ocean of lava if you just trust him. And that's what he did, man. And soon I started changing, man. I had people plotting. Had a guy stab me in my head 11 times in my sleep. I had guys writing death threats and death notes on me. Some of the guys that I thought that I can really trust within my own gang at the time, they started betraying me, started turning on me. They started making mockery of me, all he washed up. And man, when the Lord touch your heart, man, you lose all that sinister pride and stuff. And I started going to church and I started feeling empowered. But I was losing that sinful power, but I started feeling that godly power. And that godly power, it felt more reliant, it felt more dependable. I feel like I can conquer a lot of things. I wasn't limited when I didn't feel limited when I was feeling that spiritual power. When I was living that sinister life, I feel like I could be conquered at some point in time in my life. And God just started sending good Christian people. They started talking to me. It'll be a crowd of us. I'll be feeling cold on this side. Son, there's something special about you. Something special about me. I'm Bernardo Cortez Lane. I'm a gangster. What you mean there's something special about me? Man, do you know what I do behind these prison walls? Do you know the type of things I done did in life and you telling me there's something special about me? Is you just telling me this here because you want me to believe what you telling me that Jesus loved me? Is that your reason you telling me this here? Because if you telling me that just for flattery, I'm willing to listen to you, but I don't believe. But one thing I realize about godly people, it's just a certain genuine love and vibe that you feel from. It's a concern that it don't come with a tag. When you live in a life of crime and you doing wrong, it's always that chance that people that you feel like you can trust will betray you at any given time, and they can, because if they live in a life of sin, that means the devil able to infiltrate their spirits. That means the devil able to infiltrate their minds. He able to infiltrate their intentions. Even some guys you grew up with. I seen the best of guys who was tight turn on each other because they was living that life of sin. And I seen a lot of guys that put their trust in God flourish and actually come up out of their system. And during this time, I had like a lot of good support system that came into my life. Strangers, even God, some women that played their part even for a season. They was their caretaker. It was godly men who came into my life. It was people that was living the life of crime. God would see. God even spoke to Moses through a burning bush. God will come through anybody when he want to reach out and touch you. His power ain't limited. He made guys I knew didn't like me defend me in time of warfare. He made people that I knew that had bad intentions become my footstool.
And during this time that I was in prison, I remember going on lockup a few times. I remember the time that guy had stabbed me in my head. I really felt defeated because I was used to being the one that was getting the ups on guys. Now God allowed that same karma to come back on me. And when that karma came back on me, I remember being shipped off into a maximum security cell because the guy that had stabbed me told him that if I hadn't made my move on him, the same thing I done to him, he was gonna do to me. And 9 out of 10, he was right because I had it up my sleeve to do it. And it really humbled me because you never know how somebody actually feel until the same thing that you used to doing to them actually get done to you in return. And I remember being in that prison cell, that 23-in-1 cell. It was cold too, with stitches in my head. Still got the marks right there. I remember being in that prison cell, and I remember having a dream about the same guy who stabbed me. I felt so defeated because I couldn't retaliate because now I'm confined in the prison cell. He able to be out there and glorify that, I stabbed him. He's supposed to be a tough guy. Y'all been looking up to him. He ain't so much of a tough guy now. And he was able to spread bad propaganda, whatever. I was pretty much at his mercy in a criminal world. Because when you do, who makes they move first, them the ones who get glorified. And this time, I actually lost the fight, and I was the victim. So I was in that 23-in-1 cell going through it mentally, couldn't call out, couldn't do nothing, body aching, head aching, pride broken. And I remember having a dream about killing that man. And I woke up in just a fit of excitement. Yeah, I killed him. Yeah, I finally got him back. Saying it to myself, and it was a man standing behind me that was a Christian brother. And he was at the door looking at me when I was saying this. And he asked the guards to let me out, and that man, he told me some things. And that God just, he showed miracles. He was saying, brother, you got to learn how to forgive. God trying to reach out to you and save you. Do you want to be saved? Do you believe that Christ can save you? In order for Christ to save you, you're going to have to submit yourself. And I went back in that cell, man. I just had a humbling experience, and I started humbling myself. I stopped caring about how people felt about me. I stopped caring about that bad boy and tough guy persona and reputation I had. I stopped caring about operating in the fashion of a gangster. I knew in order for me to overcome everything that was my path, I was going to have to do it a spiritual way. And it's scary. And it's a lot of guys that's just like me that want to change, but they know they in the jungle and they feel they don't trust God enough to change. And I started trusting God, man, and I went through some real mean obstacles behind them prison walls. You talking about a line of enemies and a legion of demons coming up against you. I know exactly how they feel. And I remember guys will actually be plotting, having pocket eyes and looking at me with hatred and evil eyes. And some of these guys I didn't even know. But I was just a target that guys wanted to get out the way. I was how can I say this? I was a cloud to their sunshine. They felt like I was a competition. Every time I came around, I want their brother, I want their partner, but I was a competition. And God started showing me things that God showed me, if I'm for you, who can be against you? And during this time, man, God started really touching my heart, and he started sending mentors in my life and preaching the word to me and stuff. And I remember being at Northwest Correctional Center. I was the chief of the gangster disciples down there. Ran that prison with an iron fence. One of the most violent prison in Tennessee. One of the most wildest. I ran through with an iron fence because I had the wit, I had the mindset, I had the experience, and I had the heart to do it. And I remember a big gang war popping off. And a lot of guys on my side of the fence got stabbed, and a lot of guys on the other side of the fence got stabbed. And I remember God covering me, and I seen a lot of guys go to maximum security. The stabbing happened in every unit except the unit that I was in, and one unit crossed. And I thought to myself, I said, God showing to me too many signs, because if I had to get caught and involved in that stabbing, I wouldn't be on camera right to this day. And God brought me out of that situation, transferred me. Eventually, I ended up getting my electrician trade, transferred me to like a smaller minimum security prison across the street. I guess the ones over there, they got tired of me because the CEO was trying to get me so much. I guess they felt like we just gonna transfer them across the street. So I ended up making the best out of it and going to a prison at River Bend, and that's when I really just got grasped hold onto God's concept of what He want for man. What He want for man is to be believers, to be warriors of this earth, to guide and save souls, not to lead people in damnation, not to allow the devil to puppet master us, but to pick up our sword and put on the full armor of God and stand against the evil spirits that's against us. And I started finding pleasure in uplifting people. It was a time that I found pleasure in hurting people and doing people wrong. I found pleasure in uplifting people. And I remember a parole sheet coming up on the door telling me I was up for parole. And I told myself, I said, man, here I've been locked up 26 years. These people ain't finna let me up out of this prison system. All this stuff against me. And I remember having this guy that was on my parole hearing. His name was Tim Gobble. When I first looked into his eyes, I knew he was a Christian man, because it's just a certain type of glow that Christians have. And he told me tell my story. And the funny thing about it, I broke down and cried like a baby in front of my family. And the reason I broke down and cried like a baby, because all them years in prison, all my gangster brothers, all my thug partners, all the tough guys who say they love me, who I done things for and who done things for me, they never once asked me, bro, tell me your life story. Tell me how you feel on the inside. I had to keep that ball up for 26 years. And here it was, a man who was judging me to determine whether I get out of prison or not. Out of all these people, this the man that asked me to tell me my life story, which he didn't have to do. He just could have judged me off that paper and set me out for a couple of years. And I asked God before I went into that parole room to bring His angels, and I felt His angels was in there. And the man let me go without a psychological evaluation, something they don't do for guys like me. And came back with a split decision. He done it again. He fought for me again. He told me he believed in me. I happened to run into a guy named, I kept trying to get free and go out there into the world, because I still had lust in me, but I was hiding it. And I kept fitting out for different halfway houses and stuff like that. And something kept saying, man, the man of valor is calling you. I'm not letting you up out of here until you go to the man of valor. And I ended up meeting this brother named Tommy Matthews and JR. And the funny thing about them, I ended up crying like a baby in front of them, because that's the second time two other men that was God followers asked me to tell my story. And they took me in, and man, I made parole a week later. You can't tell me what God, man, he won't do for you, man, when you put trust in Him. And one of my things I want to do out here, I ain't perfect. I'm not going to get out here and act like I'm perfect. But I got a heart for people now. I want people to know that the Lord is real. He will guide you through anything. Being out here now, I see a lot of people who hearts broken. I see a lot of division. I see a lot of racism. I see a lot of people, they just fighting their way through the day, trying to pay bills, who don't have enough room to love or for emotion. And them the people lives I want to touch. I see people out there that's homeless and don't have nothing, and people that's got wealth, they riding past them and they acting like they don't exist. Oh, they can get jobs. You know, they got 2 legs, they got 2 arms. But you can't never judge nobody until you actually know what they've been through. And God touched my heart. I want to get out there, man. I want to touch people's lives. I want to tell them what God done for me. I want them to know, man, that no matter how far you is into the ground, unless you not up on that dirt, you got a second chance. I don't care how much time you got in prison. I don't care how bad your marriage is. I don't care how long you been lonesome. I don't care how many times people done cross you out. If you put your trust in God, man, He's a miracle. He's a world turner. He can turn things around. And I just sit back and I look at my life to this day. I wake up in the mirror, man, every day waking up and being out of here, man, and just receiving love and being able to touch people's lives and let's see guys to see me that a lot of guys probably predict, he'll be back. It's been challenging since I've been out. It's been guys picking and they twisting and everything, but man, I let a lot of that stuff rub off on me because, man, God got the biggest purpose. I know that test is gonna come to you in all kind of ways, and just being out here, man, getting the love and support for so many different brothers and telling me about God, congregating with, man, with a lot of different guys, and we praising the Lord, man, doing Bible studies and stuff, man. It's just a new life, and I just thought to get on camera, man, just tell my life, because I live that life. If anybody is familiar with me, they'll tell you, man, I'm the real deal. I live that life. And I'm one of the most hated, but I got one God for a million enemies. And I'm one of the most loved too, because I'm God chosen, man. And He rose me out of the pits of hell. And he got more work for me to do out here. And I just want everybody to know, man, just to keep your head up. People out here love you. People out here want to hear your story. Don't give up on yourself. All things we get to a point, man. I'm in my 40s now. I'm a 44-year-old man. I was incarcerated from 17 to the age of 43 years old. I lost the best of my years trying to prove something. And going through that transition and doing things I had no business doing. I got a bigger vision now, man, and that's to do some amazing things, to fellowship with, man, godly mans, and to uplift people, to help get a lot of these people off the streets that's out here that's lost at their lowest point. People that's out here being abused, sexual abused, molested. People that's out here just on drugs. People that's alcoholics. Guys that's in prison. Keep your head up, man. Better days are coming. I love y'all too.
Okay, y'all ready? And action.